Hi everyone, welcome to Tom's Manshed. Okay, this review is on this, as you know already from the thumbnail. It's a Parkside, Lidl's again, Lidl's make Impact Driver. And that's all you get in the case, because they sell all the stuff now as bare bones unit, which I'll explain in detail shortly. So that's all you get in the case, and of course the instruction book, which I've mislaid somewhere, but it's just your standard instruction book. So again, a nicely blow moulded case. I'll show you in detail shortly. But just before I show you some of the pictures of the various chargers and drills and prices and chargers and batteries and that you can get, I'll just explain briefly the difference between a drill and an impact driver. Now, a standard drill is similar to this one. This is one I've had donkey's years, 6-7 years, something like that, of Lidl, from Lidl's, the earlier range, the earlier shaped battery. And this I used for building most of this shed 4 years ago. Putting all the screws into the wood was all done with a little tiny drill like this. And after 2 years and 10 months of intense use, the back started coming apart. So I got in touch with Lidl's and they sent me a brand new one, just under 3 years old, and they sent me a brand spanking new one. So great service. That's all explained in detail in another video. But yeah, so this is just your standard drill. Normal sort of drill chuck, and your torque settings for using it as a screwdriver, screwing in, and your drill setting. Then, but you couldn't use that for drilling into concrete. You could try, but there's no hammer setting on that at all. So then there is drills with a hammer setting. Now, obviously, this one, it's 2-speed, and the hammer setting as well. It's a really good one. It's a Bosch GSB 18-2 lithium iron plus. And this has got a torque of Newton meters of 68 Newton meters. Now that's quite powerful, and it's a great quality drill and hammer action. But the hammer action in a standard drill, either mains or battery, is, if you've used one, it's like a vibrating, and it sort of hammers, as it says, hammers the drill this way, on like this, as if you're hammering the end of the drill into the concrete. And it has like a certain feel about it. There is then what you call the SDS system, which stands for slotted drive system or slotted drive shaft. Now this is my other Bosch drill, which I've had over 20 years. This, I bet it's knocking on 25-year-old. And as you can see, the drills for SDS, they have a slot there. And the way these mount is they just push in like that. And there's a lot of movement on these, much more than a standard hammer drill. You can see how much it hammers in and out all that way. And if you've never used an SDS drill for drilling concrete with like a big drill bit like this, they are fantastic. Way better than a normal hammer drill. Just the way they work. I'm not sure, if you look it up, there'll be loads of videos online about how they work, but it's more like a pneumatic system. It's not pneumatic because there's no air involved, but the way that it slides up and down like that, it goes through brickwork like butter. So the way an impact driver works, whereas a hammer drill, the hammer hammers in line with the drill, drilling it into the wall. An impact driver, the hammer is like a rotary, goes round the outside, so it's like belting it round circular, as if you've got a spanner, as you'll see me shortly when I demonstrate it. If you've got a spanner on a nut and you're trying to really tighten it, you could hit it with a hammer, and that's basically what an impact driver is doing. And it's taking all the torque out of twisting your wrist, and it's doing the work itself. Again, as you'll see very shortly. So instead of having a chuck to put a drill bit in, it has this like sliding collet thing here, and you just put your screwdriver adapter in with that, and then you can put your drill bit in whatever you use it, your screwdriver bit in there. And they do also have drills with this hexagonal shaft that will fit in an impact driver. So here's the battery I picked, the 4 amp one, and that just slides on the front like that, and it's quite well balanced, quite heavy, much heavier than this, but so you'd use that for your lightweight drilling. And it's got a light here on the bottom which comes on, and it stays on for a bit even after you let go of the trigger. Now you think it a bit daft here, but it is aimed up there and it is quite effective. Don't know whether you can see it on my hand there. See the light. So in a dark room, if I turn this out as I pull the trigger, you can see it's quite a bright light. It's lighting up. If I cover it up, anyway, you get the idea. And on the battery, you've got a little battery tester there. If you press that, it comes up 3 bars, 1, 2 and 3. So that's that, and that's the battery I picked for it. Now the charger is this one. Again, I'll show you shortly some pictures I've taken of the so you can have a proper read of that, and some of the other ones that were in Lidl, some of the choices that you get. Comes with the obligatory instructions. It's quite a hefty unit, a twin charger. So I'll just plug this in. Okay, so I've got this plugged in now, and as you can see, you can charge 2 batteries at a time, and it's got a state of charge indicator going up there. You can see it's fully charged it to its low state, and it's halfway through. As soon as it's got to that state, that'll go steady, and then the top one will start flashing, and as soon as that has finished flashing, it's fully charged. So you can charge 2 batteries at the same time. It's a 4 amp output, so it'll charge a 4 amp battery in 1 hour, and it'll charge your 2 amp batteries in half an hour. Battery balancing and everything, so good quality, quite sophisticated charger with plenty of indicators and battery balancing function. In the case that you get it in, there is space to have your 2 amp battery on the bottom there, but it won't fit in its case with its 4 amp battery. There is space for the 4 amp battery there in the case, so you could have a 2 amp and a 4 amp in there, and you get with it, the only 2 bits you get are this drive bit, which is hexagonal, one side to go in thing, and you'd put a socket on there. It's your normal little socket driver, and the other one is for screw bits. So you'd put your screw bits in there. I'll just show you about that. Here also, I just got this week. Not worthy of a full review, I don't think, this, but little set of proper impact driver bits. Now, I believe for impact drivers, there is this thing like a torsion sort of shaft that takes some of the shock out and stops it, because they are so powerful they can break the heads off the bits. So you've got that. There's 2 choices in Lidl's. There's this, which is just screwdriver bits, various star bits, Torx bits, and posi drive and Phillips and flathead. With that one, and there's also one with some sockets, maybe like a 10, 11, 12, 13 or whatever socket in, but I had sockets already, so I bought this one, and it comes with its own little driver as well, little holder. And then the one you get with the unit, you would put like a bit from there in there, and that's how you'd hold it in the machine, and then that just slots in the machine like that. And then as you pull this collet, you'll see that springs up. I don't know if you saw that it sort of springs out. You just take it out, drop it in. So it's as simple as that. Obviously, when you're just using it and it's not coming up against any load, the impact part doesn't come into play. So if you're using it just as a lightweight drill, and like I say, you can get drills with that hexagonal shaft that goes in there, the impact, the hammering impact bit won't come on. But once you see, and it needs to do some work shortly, you'll see that's when you feel it. So you've got your 3 power there. Clip here as well for clipping on your belt or whatever. And usual forward and reverse switch here. I've seen one review on this on YouTube, and he shows pulling the trigger fast, and he says his doesn't come on if you do that with the 4 amp battery. He's got to do it slowly, but it must be faulty because this does. I can do it really quick and it comes on instantly, or it comes on slowly. So yeah, that's that. And like I said, the light stays on for a few seconds after you let go of the trigger. So I'll show you now some of the ones, different choice of batteries, and a couple of different impact drivers that I noticed when I was in Lidl. So I took some pictures of them, so let's have a look at them now. So this is the subject of this review, the one I got, the Cordless Impact Driver. As you see, it's a bare unit. You need to buy the charger and the battery separately. And some of the details there is 180 Newton meters of torque. It's got a nominal impact rate of 3,600 BPM. That's blows per minute, not beats per minute, which is more apt for me. Previous thing I used to do in the 80s as a mobile DJ, but no, it's blows per minute, how many sort of hammer blows per minute it's giving. And then the rotation speed 0 to 2,800 revs per minute. Tool holder, 1/4 inch size collet type tool holder, and a couple of adapters. So that's all the details there. It's won a couple of awards there at Tool of the Year and stuff like that. Now, there's a couple of other impact ones that Lidl's do. I saw this one, 3-in-1 Cordless Impact Driver. Now, it was the same price, this, but basically, if you look at the specs, it's just really a drill. It's got a normal drill chuck, but it has got some sort of impact feature on it, because it says it's at the bottom, 3 functions: drill, impact driver, and screw. But it's got a maximum torque, if you look there at the top there, under the red line, of 45 Newton meters. Now that's hardly anything. My cordless Bosch drill is 68 Newton meters, and the proper impact driver under review here is the one that I got is 180 Newton meters. So to me, that isn't a very good buy. It's just basically a drill with a bit of impact feature on it, but that impact feature isn't very powerful. So I tend to steer clear of that one and just get yourself like a normal drill. If you haven't got a drill at all, that would be okay, because it's a drill driver, but the impact part of it to me just seems very, very weak if it's only 45 Newton meters. And the other one they do is this, the Cordless Vehicle Impact Wrench. Now this is like a much heavier duty wrench. It's not for screwing screws, wood screws and or anything like that. It's for basically the bigger stuff, like wheel nuts on cars, putting your wheel nuts on and undoing them. If you've ever had a tyre done at a tyre depot, when they use the air-powered tool, that thing that does that noise as they bring your wheels off is an impact wrench powered by their own air compressor. Well, this is similar to that, and it's got a heck of a power, 400 Newton meters. So more than double that this one this review is about, but more solely for just the big nuts. So I would hardly ever use that. only for taking the wheels off the car, which would be very, very rarely. Now that comes with a battery and a charger, the 4 amp battery, and it's 60 minute. That'll be a single battery charger. So yeah, maybe one for the future. I don't know, unless Lidl want to donate one free of charge. I'll gladly review it. But yeah, more for a professional sort of like guy using it on big nuts, big machinery, wheel nuts and stuff like that. Forgot to take a price on that. I think it's about sort of 60-ish because it comes with the charger and the battery. But yeah, that's another one to bear in mind should that be what you want. And that's the price of the that cordless impact driver I showed you, both the one that I'm reviewing on this one and the one that showed you previously, like a drill. Now, of course, being a bare bones unit, you do have to buy the battery and charger separately, which, like I say, is a good thing because it'll fit all their current range of tools, and there's absolutely tons from gardening stuff to lights, drills, jigsaws, saws, all sorts. So once you get yourself a few batteries and a charger, you don't need to buy any more. So you can get that one, the 2 amp one, and that will fit in the blow molded case that you get with this impact driver with that attached. But I chose the 4 amp one, as you'll see shortly. But that's the 2 amp one, and the 2 amp one's price is, as you see there, at $19.99. That is for the 2 amp battery and the charger. Which again, really, really good value for a 2 amp lithium 20 volt battery and charger with battery balancing technology, and that for 20 quid is good value. But that's the one I chose for this. So 4 amp, so double the capacity, will last twice as long between charges, and still fits in the blow molded case, but separately you've got to take it out of the impact wrench itself. Whereas, like I say, with the 2 amp battery, it will fit in the blow molded case with that still attached to the impact driver. But there is space for a 4 amp battery in the case, and the price of that is, as you see there, $24.99, which is just for the battery itself, not the battery and the charger. So $24.99. So again, you know, when comparing stuff, have a look at a quick charge battery with status indicator, balancing technology built in, at 4 amps for 25 quid on most other tools, and you'll find that the DeWalts, the Makitas and the Milwaukees are far, far dearer than that. And finally, that's all the details on the dual battery charger. 2 amp and 4 amp it'll charge. You can charge 2 at the same time. A 2 amp in 30 minutes, a 4 amp in 60 minutes. Compatible with all the batteries on the all the tools in the range. 2 meter mains cord, which is good. Some of these come in a really tiny cord, but that's quite good. 2 meters, and a 3-stage status indicator for both sets of batteries up there. So again, the price of that was $19.99, which again, dual battery charger capable of 4 amp charging is a pretty good price. Okay, so that just shows you what's the range that were in the shop when I was there in Lidl's. A couple of different impact drivers than this, and the different batteries and chargers and prices. Now, I'm going to do the demo now and show you. And I was just going to show it you putting a big screw, this one. You can see how much bigger it is than that. Putting that screw into some wood, because I thought, well, this one, my Bosch cordless, would be struggling that without a pilot hole. But as you see shortly, it didn't. It put it in all right, and in fact it split the wood. Now, I haven't got any hardwood or any bigger screws than that. That's the biggest head I could use in the impact driver. So I'd have to try and screw that into a bit of hardwood to show you how much a normal non-impact would struggle to do it. So I decided I'd do it or undoing a nut and bolt on some metal. So I'll show you the bit what I mean on the wood first, to show you that even one with this, which is 68 Newton meters torque, has got ample power in soft wood to screw a screw like that without a pilot hole. So let's have a look at that now. Okay, so the first thing I thought I'll show you is driving in this screw. Now it's a pretty hefty screw, as you can see. It's got a 13mm head. The biggest socket I've got that will go on this size driver is 13mm, and that's what the head of this is. I'll show you here in comparison to a standard number 10 wood screw. So you can see it's quite a lot bigger. And I thought I'll demonstrate it doing this, and then I'll demonstrate my drill here not being able to do it. But as you'll see, the drill is capable. So I'll demonstrate something this can do that this can't do any minute. So no pilot hole. Normally putting something like that in, you'd drill a pilot hole. But just to show you, you just start. So dead easy getting that in there, and there's no twisting sensation whatsoever. Very, very little that there is on a drill that kicks. There's no kickback. So I thought this would be incapable of it, but as you can see now, take that out of there, put it in here, just tighten that up a bit. As you can see, now I've got this on drill, so none of the torque settings make any difference, and I'll put it on speed 1. And as you can see, well, it's actually split the wood, but I did do this before and it went straight through it, no problem. So not a great demo of how much more power this is than this on a bit of wood. So I've got very limited metal and stuff hanging around the house. So what I did was get this piece of metal here, just a bit of angle iron. Just bear with me while I get this all set up. Okay, so as you saw there in wood, soft wood, no need for this. And like I said, unless you're putting in huge, massive screws, maybe really, really long ones, into hardwood, and then it would come into its own. So just to demo its power over something like this, like I said, this is 3 times the power, 180 newtons, 68 newtons of this. So let's see it now on a really tightened nut and bolt on a piece of metal. Okay, so I've got this nut and bolt in here now, and I'm going to tighten it as tight as I possibly can. I know that this isn't totally professional, but I can't think of tightening it any tighter than this. Okay, that's about as much as I'm going to get it. So we'll now try the drill, and as you can see, I don't know whether the camera's picking up, but fully charged battery, 3 greens, and we've got it on speed 1, which is the highest torque. I'll show you speed 2, absolutely no chance. It's just quite a gentle kick, but if we put it onto speed 1, which is slower speed, highest torque, it's really trying. It's hard on the wrist because it tends to flick round and hit me there. So even putting my weight against it, doing it. It's absolutely no chance of doing it, and like I said, very tight on your wrist to hold. So take that out of that, pop it in the impact driver, hold it underneath with this. I'll try it with this now. Well, as you can see then, a few sort of like bangs, a few impacts, and it had done it, it had loosened it, and there was absolutely no torque on my wrist. That was dead easy to hold, no chance of breaking your wrist bone. So yeah, that's that. So as you saw there on that really tight nut and bolt, that's where it would come into its own. So going to be a handy tool to have for tightening, and particularly untightening really stubborn, hard to get at nuts and bolts, maybe that you can't get a spanner on the back of and get both ways, maybe like on an engine or something, down in a inaccessible gap. That's where it'd be ideal. So yeah, so when you are comparing these things, have a look at the prices of, say, DeWalt, Milwaukee, Makita batteries like for like. So compare like a 20 volt, 18 volt, whatever they use, 4 amp battery with battery balancing technology built in, charge indicator on it. Check all that lot out when you are comparing it for the price. And again with the charger, you know, a dual charger with state of charge indication, 4.5 amp output will charge a full 4 amp battery in 1 hour, a 2 amp battery in half an hour, for like 20 quid. I think it's really good value. It is on it a brushed motor. Now a lot of the expensive, like I say, Makita, DeWalt's, Milwaukee's, most of them, I think some of the lower ranges in there still use a brushed motor, but use brushless motors. Now, brushless motors are much better than brushed motors. They don't emit any sparks out the back. There's nothing to wear down the brushes or anything. They're more powerful. But, of course, you're paying for that in the price of the tool. When you work out, what was this? The battery was 25, the dual charger was 20, and the actual unit itself was 25. So we're talking 70 quid for the full thing, including a dual fast charger and a 4 amp 20 volt battery and the impact driver for £70. Now you can pay that for just one battery for some of the others. And get back to the brush motors. Okay, it's not going to have the lifespan of a brushless motor, but it's still going to outdo me. The amount of times I'm going to be using this. If I was a professional using it every single day for heavy work, drilling massive screws and stuff, yeah, I'd probably go for one of the high ones. But for the average DIYer like mine, who's only going to use it once in a blue moon, most of the time I'll be using mid drill and that. I think a brushed motor is fine, and it's got the 3-year warranty as usual with Lidl's tools. As I mentioned before, they do stand by, and they're really good. So yeah, all in all, I think good value for money, and it seems to do what it says on the tin. I mentioned this before, this little thing. So not worthy of a whole video, just to review a bit set, but again, $9.99 for that, for proper thing. 32 piece, and two different varieties, one with more sockets than bits. Trouble is, the plastic clips that hold them are very brittle. I've broken a couple already. I'm going to take it back and swap it for another, which will be no problem whatsoever. And just tell them a couple of the plastic holders were broken. But next time when I'm shoving it in, be really careful to line it up. I think I hadn't quite lined it up properly or whatever, and I was a bit heavy-handed. So if you are getting one of these, be very careful with the clips. I dare say they'll probably break anyway, but you could just use the whole case to keep them in loose. But yeah, plenty of different bits there for £9.99. So yeah, I think good value for money at all them 3 items for 70 quid. Okay, not up there with the Milwaukees of this world, but also half to a third of the price with all that set up. A third of the price. Just pay 140 quid just for a bare bones unit of the top DeWalt's and Milwaukees. So yeah, I think for the average DIYer with its full 3-year warranty that Lidl's do stand by, good value for money. So I hope it's been of some use. For those interested, the car, my MG4 I've got on order. Like I said, I've forgotten about the ZS now that I ordered in December last year, and it's now October the 17th. Never did materialise, so I've got the MG4 on order. They've told me roughly a couple of weeks. That was a couple of weeks ago, so is it going to become the usual saga? I don't know. But I'm hoping to get that very, very soon. And I've already wired up this entire shed, the input to this shed. I'll go through it all in detail, to a changeover switch that I can run the whole, everything in the shed, because there's nothing in here that uses much power, off the car. There's a V2L, a vehicle to load facility on it, where I can, in a power cut or whatever, I can plug into the car and run my entire shed off it. I've done all that already. It's all wired up and I've tested it and it works like a dream. So that will be one of my forthcoming videos. And loads more on fitting a dash cam and stuff like that to the MG4 as soon as I get it. So fingers crossed I get it pretty soon. There's all that to look forward to if that's of any interest. Plus any other tools and gadgets and stuff like that come my way. So I hope this review has been of some use. If it has, please give me a thumbs up. It helps in YouTube's algorithm for promoting videos. That would be absolutely great. Even better if you're not a subscriber already. If you do want to become one, click the little picture here of the shed and click the bell icon below to be informed when a new video is uploaded. And I'm going to keep them coming throughout the rest of this year and into next year, and as long as possible after that. I'll see you for those that I've just mentioned and many more to come. Thanks for watching this one. Bye for now.